My name is Becky Wentzell, and I was the first coordinator of Stops to Violence when we were the Provincial Partnership Committee on Family Violence. I spent 7 years working at Stops to Violence and traveled all across the province, and part of my role was to build an inclusive provincial committee as well as provide support and information at local levels so that they could develop their too committee at the local level. Why was Stops started? Stops was started because it was recognized that when we were working in the area of violence against women, we were doing it in a piecemeal way. And we didn't have conversations with other people doing the work as well. And we were feeling like what we were doing was putting Band-Aids on, but not having really good, deep conversation and planning. The concept came from one of our peers going off to a justice conference in Alberta, and Deanna Lies Henry to be exact, and she came back after that conference and was quite sparked that she felt like, oh my goodness, they had all the key players at the table. This would make such a difference to our work in Saskatchewan. The whole notion was to bring government and community together to develop a model of working together between community and government. The main benefits as Stops, when we started looking at pulling things together on an inclusive steering committee, we recognized that the work gets done at the local levels. So we wanted not to have the steering committee be the one that dictates what goes on. So the notion was that we would have pilot communities, and we would have a mini version of the provincial steering committee at the local level, so that when an issue came up locally, they dealt with it locally. But oftentimes some issues came up that were a provincial issue. So that information then came to the big group. The big group worked on it and came up with a plan. And I'll use an example of that. Somebody had seen an escape plan video for women experiencing violence in their relationships, and it was from the States. And we had a conversation as a group talking about, wouldn't it be wonderful to have, it's a wonderful resource, and wouldn't it be wonderful to have one looking like Saskatchewan? So when we had, and that was a provincial issue, so it was something that we could utilize across the province. So the committee made a commitment to do that, and we sought funding and created the How Then Shall We Live video and manual. I'm working at the Regina Burke Preparation Center, and what I see there is the partnerships and the fact that there's community that know that we're one organization and we need one another. And how can we utilize each other's services in appropriate ways to best serve the people that we serve. Personally, I utilize it in my work on a regular basis. The whole need that if you're going to do something, the more information you have, the more pieces of the puzzle that you put together, the better outcomes you have. And the outcomes have more of an ability for sustainability than if I just pulled one piece and I just worked on one piece.